This is my ID. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. My name is Reese Helms, and this is a persuasive speech about money. Everyone needs and enjoys money, right? This back here is from a bank, and most of us hope it would be full of money. With the state wages being so low in some parts of the country and much higher in other states, why isn't the wage raised everywhere? With more money in our pockets, people will be able to provide for their families more, do more pleasurable activities, and not worry how they are going to pay for everyday necessities. Huffington Post in January of 2018 showed that 18 states were getting a higher minimum wage increase. For most of us seeing this here in South Carolina, where the minimum wage has stayed at $7.25 an hour, we may feel cheated on or forgotten by our government, thinking that if other states are receiving an increase, that our government must not see the prices in our home state that are rising as well. Forbes.com states that Washington, D.C. now has the highest minimum wage rate at $11.50 an hour, with Massachusetts and California following. PayWizard.com goes into detail, saying that Washington, D.C. will continue to raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2020. The cost of living is higher in most of the states that are raising their minimum wage, but if the states aren't changing, it doesn't seem fair. Some argue that if the minimum wage is raised, then the cost of living has to raise with it, but that is not true in every aspect. According to Toggle.com, one of the main benefits of raising the minimum wage is that it creates a better relationship with the company you work for, because you will not go looking for other jobs that pay higher. Some argue that if the minimum wage is increased, then companies will have to raise their prices of their product to stay positive in sales. This over time would cause a need for another wage increase, which is something we are already seeing in Washington, D.C. Even in my home state of South Carolina, we still live with a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Along with that, according to local South Carolina attorneys, we still have laws on our law books that do not require companies to pay you the money you are due, even though you have worked for it, and you can file a lawsuit up to 3 years after the fact. This is a very controversial topic in the sense that we, in South Carolina, already are getting paid the bare minimum as far as minimum wage goes, and still companies are given the right to not pay their employees. Cron.com shows that certain jobs are exempt from the minimum wage, such as profession and outside sales jobs. You earn jobs in those fields based on what you can sell and how much of it. Commission has no limit other than the percentage you are allowed to earn by the company. Not talking about commission, but tips, the minimum wage federally is $2.13 an hour, which is absurdly low. People in jobs that make tips tend to exceed the minimum wage income by far, but they are still working just as hard as any employee and are not guaranteed a tip. It is not a law that you have to tip, and tips become the main source of income, obviously, if you're in a field such as waitering or being a doorhop. The incentive to get tips makes the employee work harder and more diligently so they can get the money they deserve. This is good for the employers because hopefully they have committed employees, but for that commitment, the minimum wage should become higher as well. Our economy now is the best it has been for a while, and with an increase in wages, a large majority of people will be well off financially. With so many states realizing that unemployment rates decrease with higher minimum wage laws, there doesn't seem to be any major cons to raising the wage. I believe that in a few years, South Carolina laws will have to change. The unemployment rate here is one of the highest in the nation, which can be changed with a simple increase in the minimum wage. The southern states have not shown any major advances toward higher wages, but with petitions and the voice of the people, I guarantee that can be changed. The cost of living is lower in the South for the most part, so higher wages would only benefit the people. Real estate prices may rise slightly, but it would not affect much since everyone would be getting a higher wage minimum. Does anybody have any questions for my speech? Hello.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think the minimum wage should be a state, federal, or both issue, and why?
I think it should be a federal law so there is not a minimum wage competition between the states. Do we have another question?
How much do you think the minimum wage should be in the service sector, and why?
I think it should be a minimum of $5 an hour, so that even if the employees aren't getting tipped, they still have a decent income and don't have to rely on the tips they're getting. Thank you for listening to my speech, everybody. Thank God!
Don't you have to show that?
You were number one.
I'll just
was
do that
number
now.
two.
Here, I'll edit that shit. Just
Okay.
edit passing it back to me.
Okay.
And we still have 6 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.